It's much harder to come back to the market recharged, ready, fresh, and open for it. And so I think that there's so much power in thinking about what you can do with your body that will help you pull out of those losses and not carry it over from day to day. Because if your nervous system is allowed to sit and stay in that negativity, it's going to be worse for longer. And there's been studies that prove that moving your body helps dump the emotions that you might be carrying, good and bad. It helps kind of neutralize you out, pull you out of your head and into your body, and find like that the world is still moving and still turning. The evening is still coming on, so you're okay.
Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today.
Hey guys, Becky from Market Mamas. You guys know me, I'm a futures trader, dabble in some options. I've been trading for about 5.5 years. Well, I want to talk about a subject that's been on my mind a lot lately because it's been changing the way I've been trading, especially with summer vibes. And it's that my nervous system is actually a critical component to my trading. And when my nervous system is overloaded, overstimulated, fatigued, not operating at peak performance, it doesn't matter how good my strategy is or how good my playbook is. I am struggling. And the issue is that when you are struggling and having a stable nervous system, that's trying to execute from survival mode. And I don't know what other parents are out there, but for me, it's summertime right now. And it's a bit of a situation. I don't know if you guys have noticed this though, but sometimes when I've been thinking about what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, how I want to shift in my momentum as a trader, I have had really good work throughs on this, really good progression for me on my approach to everything when I have not been at the charts. When I've been outside with my kids, when I have been driving home, when I've been taking a shower, when I've been out hiking, when I've just been like doing the dishes, honestly. Those times when I'm thinking through kind of side eye, thinking about what I want to do better on, what my priorities are, what I probably ought to shift, I get some answers with some clarity. But when I'm glued to the charts all day and I'm pushing myself and I'm watching for setups and I'm trying to maybe trade a little bit more or get back from a small loss, what have you, if I'm at the charts all day, I have less clarity. I feel like I get lost in the trance of it, caught up in the moment of it. And I actually am not seeing what I need to see more clearly for my best outcomes. My decision making is not better for my trading, for my big picture goals when I am glued to the work of trading. So it's kind of an important thing to think about, right? What if stepping away from the charts isn't taking your foot off the gas, but it's actually where you are building into your high performance activity of being a trader, where you know that you are doing essential work by stepping back from the office, getting outside, getting fresh air, getting movement, and thinking through what your situation is, where you're at with everything. And if you think about it, it makes so much sense because our brains are just not totally high powered, can execute all the time. We are not robots that can perform the same tasks day after day, hour after hour with the same high level quality outcome. It's not, our brains are not designed for that sort of continuous focus. Now, I felt that this was true, but I kind of wanted to dig into it and think about it and conceptualize it and see if I could find some information on it because trading really does require, when you're trading, when you're doing futures trading, high impact day trading that is quick, you have to have sustained attention. You have to maintain emotional regulation. You have to keep your working memory really on point, focused, seeing everything that's going on, what you're taking in, what your strategy is, how you want to approach the market. Your decision making has to be on point, making sure you're managing your risk as indicated by your strategy. You're not missing times. You're not missing data that's coming in. Impulse control has to be on point. You have to be paying attention to, I'm keeping myself centered and I am waiting for my setups and waiting for my confirmations before I click. All of those are functions of the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that really dials in high functioning, high quality, focused work. But that part of the brain fatigues. I don't know if everyone knows this, but it does. Like scientifically, it does. It cannot sustain that high level of momentum and energy and focus that you need for the work of day trading forever. That wanes. And the longer we force decisions, especially if emotions start creeping in, because if you're at the charts a long time and you're forcing it a little bit, usually the situation is getting heightened. And so then the more the emotional brain can start to take over and really fight with things. And that gets so tricky. That's where traders fall into the trap of revenge trading, forcing setups, over managing winners and messing yourself up. hesitating on your setups because you have to think longer. Your brain is functioning a little bit slower. Maybe your blood sugar's low because you've been in such a trance. Or you start to monkey around and get in situations and you're losing your confidence. All of those things are really challenging and really frustrating. And it's hard too because you think, I'm focused on the charts. I'm spending all of this time there. I should be getting the outcomes for my hours put in. I want to get paid. But trading is often the opposite of that, right? So there's one really strong reference to a study that I found that is like, will highlight this so well. And I want to like throw out some science if I can find it, because it helps me remember that this is meaningful for me to remember this. So there was a study out of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and it was published in, I think, the publication Cognition. So it found that participants who worked continuously on a task experienced declining performance, while those giving brief mental breaks maintained attention significantly better throughout projects. And so the researchers concluded that short breaks actually help restore focus rather than reduce it. If you just push through, plow through, put in 8-10 hours at a time all the time and expect to maintain a high level of outcome, but rather working for an hour or two and then taking a movement break and refreshing, recentering, getting something to eat, hydrating, and then coming back in is so much more powerful. I love that. And I actually have experienced that in my own trading. So I believe it. I don't know if that's the right approach because it's science, but also, do I believe it? I do, because I have experienced it in my own trading. One way to think about it is like attention is not really like a light switch, it's more like a muscle. And I love that because if you think about it, right? If you never let it recover, rebound, repair what you tore when you were pushing it hard, then your performance can decline and you can run the risk of an injury. And it's not something that you can just flip on and off all the time, and more so you have to build it over time. And so I love that. And it's actually in my research to think about this topic. It's called vigilance decremation. So the gradual drop in attention during prolonged continuous tasks apparently has a term, vigilance decremation. It makes sense, right? Your vigilance is declining because you are pushing too hard and you're starting to fatigue. And so then you're just not going to see as much as you would want to see on the charts and in your setups and in your approach. And so that's something that really warrants attention in conversation. So that's what I want to think about today, how I need to deal with this in my own trading. That's what I want to, I guess, shine some light on for myself and for anyone else who is in this situation. Because our brain actually is really good at solving problems, especially when the pressure's taken off. So during downtime, right? That's when you can kind of have some default energy really help you. You can stop actively concentrating on the charts, on getting in and out, on managing an active trade, because that takes a lot of effort. But if you can stop that really active, heavy active concentration, you can get outside, you can walk. I like to garden, lift weights, go for a run, bake something, wash dishes, play with your kids, build Legos. Your brain switches into a different process. If you're doing something that doesn't take a lot of mental effort, you can have it running in the background. And if you're a driven trader like myself, maybe we don't want to tell our spouses this, but you're thinking about the charts a lot. You're thinking about your trading progress, your goals, where you're at, how this day went, how you want tomorrow to go, what you think the big picture timeframes are doing, and how this might create the setup for your next trading session. It's always kind of in the background. So if when we're in our off trading hours, our brain can be kind of like side-eyeing it. I like to think about it like side-eyeing the whole situation of trading and what we can work on. That default kind of mode in our brain is actually really powerful for creativity and connecting ideas and memories, like putting ideas together, having some extra insights, solving some problems. So like thinking through what is something really kind of bugging me and holding me back in my trading. Sometimes if you're just kind of thinking about it after the fact, it can be like, God, this always happens on Fridays, or this always happens when the market opens up like this at an extreme, or what have you. You can get some clarity by not pushing at it so much, but just sort of like default letting your mind wander there as to something you're working on. Oh, that could be why I always force those entries. This could be a critical time for me because this happens a lot in alignment with this. Maybe if I change that variable, I wonder what would happen. So if you're outside, you're not staring at the depth of market, you're not entering the charts. Sometimes your next breakthrough is not on the charts, I guess is what I'm saying, because it can be on a nice walk through your neighborhood in the evening where you're just pondering in your mind, reviewing, kind of mentally journaling about what your situation is and how you want to take a lesson and pivot it into stronger trading. those moments can be so powerful. And I know that because I have experienced them recently, because I have a lot going on with the podcast, with trading, with my kids home for summer, with streaming at Blue Sky, prop funding company. I stream there 4 days a week. So it's real busy. And when I am thinking kind of off the side, when I am doing these things that I speak of, like taking my kids to the park, I sometimes just have really good moments of awareness. And I think that there's truth to that. In fact, there's another study I want to talk about out of Stanford University that found that walking increases creative thinking by an average of about 60% compared with sitting. And I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but just the act of kind of moving it, I think it takes the pressure off of what you're thinking too, because you have to have some thought about where you're going, your pace, who's around you, what's going on, the sights and sounds of it, car driving next to you, what have you. And so it's like that default sort of side thinking about something, but you get improvement in that study. They found there's improvement indoors or outdoors. It suggests that the actual act of walking itself, I boosts the idea generation. And so, I mean, I want to, sounds great, boost my idea generation. You get some activity, you get some movement, you get some good blood flow. Blood flow helps everything, including your brain functioning. And so I think that that's just such a powerful tool that I don't know if everyone has thought about, but that actually can make your trading better, right? Trading isn't only analytical, it's also pattern recognition, and creativity matters when you're adapting to changing market conditions and you're thinking about the art of trading outside of the science of the specific technicals. There's a lot of intuition and art that goes into trading. And so having this time to have that creative part of us, which you're more creative when you're walking, apparently, be able to play into what's going well and what isn't, is really powerful for our longevity.
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description.
And so there was also points that I read about exercise improving your trading brain. And so it's not because it like burns calories and you are more fit. More so it was because it changes your brain chemistry. When you do light to moderate exercise a few days a week, it increases your dopamine and your serotonin. Also, one that's not talked about that much is brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF. So that is another such hormone, such as similar to dopamine and serotonin, that basically it helps your brain function at a high level. When I was researching for this episode, it was actually referred to as fertilizer for the brain because it helps your learning and memory, adaptability, and all those things are really powerful for trading, right? Memory, adaptability, learning. That is what we need to do as traders, right? To build our trading business. Well, if exercise causes that to be released more active in our body, like, do you see how like, it kind of plays over? Dopamine and serotonin released steadily from exercise, not from like high aggressive things or substances. That can actually make you just a more content, happy, optimistic person. And that gives you, the eyes to see opportunity better. For me, it helps put me in an abundance and calm and optimistic approach to everything. And from that place, I generally can see the market better. And so as a trader like that, I want tools that make me a better trader. Like I want to be healthy for a lot of reasons, but the perk to my kids or to my trading is a definite win to win. So repeatedly exercise really has been shown across the board to improve that executive function, attention, emotional regulation through many, many studies. There's too many to cite, honestly. But the fact that you move your body, yes, it's self-care. And yes, it's for a physical body as well as anything else. But think about it for your trading too. Think about how if you're taking care of your body, you just be healthier for longer for all the things you want to do. But if your trading is better, dude, like if we want to succeed faster, make money faster, if this is proven to be a tool that will make our brains function better to trade better, I think that we should be available for that. Now, I also want to think about carrying over negative trading sessions because I think it's hard sometimes when we have a hard trading day to not carry that over. And in psychology, you really want to kind of lock it in and let it go, give yourself grace. Recognize that no one is perfect. No trader has wins every single day. That's just not the way that this works, and the market is going to present opportunities every day. And this market is abundant. I truly believe that in every ounce of my being, that sometimes I mismanage the opportunities. But I do think that when I look at a day with less attention or maybe even not trading, like I can see her moves really nicely with the way that my strategy has grown over time and the way that I see the market and understand context. there's really nice opportunities nearly every day. And so by recognizing that if a day was a struggle day and you lost and you hit your max daily loss, let it be a day. See if there's so many lessons you can take with it. Think about it through the evening, maybe journal it out, literally writing it out, but then let it go, because the market will have more opportunities yesterday and doesn't care what kind of a day you had. If your nervous system can't let it go, though, and that loss will linger with you and your body still holds that tension and anxiety and you can't rest at night, it's much harder to have that reset. It's much harder to come back to the market recharged, ready, fresh, and open for it. And so I think that there's so much power in thinking about what you can do with your body that will help you pull out of those losses and not carry it over from day to day. Because if your nervous system is allowed to sit and stay in that negativity, it's going to be worse for longer. And there's been studies that prove that moving your body helps dump the emotions that you might be carrying, good and bad. It helps kind of neutralize you out, pull you out of your head and into your body and find like that the world is still moving, is still turning, the evening is still coming on. So you're okay. There's life after a trading session. There's time to reset. So I would encourage you, because I'm encouraging me. I'm telling myself this as I'm making an episode on it because maybe it will help someone else. And also, a side note, if you haven't liked, subscribe, leave a comment, like throw it on there, right? Like, we're friends. Show me a little love. I'm trying to like keep this Market Mama podcast going because I truly think that I'm available for these conversations about when I think about stuff that is like helping me, hurting me, I want to move through. I'm thinking about it a lot. I asked my mentor about it. I'm improving in this ways. That's how these episodes kind of come to play because I think that there's a lot of value in that. And then this one, I was just thinking that I'm solving some things for myself when I went out on a hike last week and when I've been getting back into exercising a little bit more regularly, I'm finding that I'm having more clarity. And so what that has kind of felt like in real time is literally what I'm talking about. And what the science that I found shows is that when I'm walking or hiking, instead of just like lingering in my mind on things that I'm trying to persevere through as trading, I'm coming to some nice realizations and then I'm calmer about them. I feel better about them. I'm laughing more. I'm sleeping better at night because I'm moving. And so it actually has been a performance improver by getting off the charts, getting out of my office, getting outside, enjoying that counterbalance time. And it's not because I want to like, quote unquote, make sure I'm doing my self-care and whatever. More so like I'm just doing better. Like my mental health is more stable and I'm coming to some good realizations about my trading and my business plans and growth opportunities and stuff. And my relationships are stronger with my family and friends because I'm having those experiences with them. So in that way, like getting outside and going for that walk, going for that hike, taking the day off the charts, it's not a distraction. It's preparing me to be better, to know that when it is my trading session, I will have a calmer nervous system and be refocused and maybe had some good breakthroughs on something that I want to push through and get to a better level on. So I just think, like even professional athletes, right? They don't train every waking hour. They will push hard when they train. They will do as their trainers advise. And then they will take breaks. They will reset. They will let their muscles come down. They will, ice them. They will give a ton of protein to feed them, to fuel their machines, which is their bodies. The recovery time is essential to the muscle growth. Like it's essential to the way that they are progressing in their skill and their craft and they're avoiding injuries, avoiding tilt days. That's what your mind too, I think. And I think having that mental clarity time of like getting out of the office and letting your body side eye what you're working through and reset neurochemically with the physical activity, it's so good. And I think the goal isn't to become the trader who spends the most time looking at the charts, right? That doesn't sound appealing. The goal is to become the trader who shows up each morning with the clearest, most focused mind, like drilled into his or her system, ready to handle it and to accept the loss if the losses come and capitalize on the wins when those setups come too, because it takes a lot of momentum and focus to hold a winner. Even more so than letting the stock get hit, or at least as much. Like these are skills you have to grow into, and knowing that we're pushing ourselves as a trader to do hard things, you want the best reset that you can. I want the best reset that I can. And so I just have felt stronger lately by kind of embracing the summer by saying, I do have my kids here and it is so nice out. And yes, I probably should be working on XYZ in the office and I need to back test and I need to drill into all the charts on these different instruments. But also I need to breathe. I need to breathe fresh air. I need to play with my kids. I need to get a little bit more physical activity, get my heart rate up a little bit. That way, when it does come time, whatever I've gotten done in my office, I have gotten done that movement time and I feel so much better and stronger. I think our best trading indicator trading edge after being a trader for a while is not another indicator, right? I think once you have a strategy that's good and you have a pretty good read of the market, you don't need to push it harder with understanding more strategy. Instead, we need to manage the psychology, right? Which is the whole heart and energy of Market Mamas, is letting our minds be at the strongest base to make the best decisions in that time. And I think that this is just, for me, it's just really helpful. There is a ton of evidence out there in the scientific world, psychology world, about taking breaks, especially breaks in nature and with sleep and with physical activity, help bring those cognitive resources so much more available so that we can have the strongest performance that we want. And strong performance is what it takes, right? Like we've talked before about how we're performance athletes or performance machines when we're trading, because you have to be able to carry the risk and execute to the best of our ability. Well, that's a holistic thing. And so I just want to kind of reframe that. I really believe that self-care in this way is not just all about fluff and it's like a pretty thing that, sounds like a nice thing, but I can't do it because I'm too busy. I have to put in my hours for learning, not the charts. You got to also balance it, I would say, especially early to middle traders who are really frustrated and haven't quite got the outcomes that they want. Think about it. Think about putting in a good amount of time on your strategy and then also making sure you're letting your nervous system reset. Because for me, that really helps. It helps sustain me. And I'm doing better lately by having just more calm about me. And I feel better trading when I trade from that calm place. So anyway, I wish that for all of us to have that sort of peace and calm and positive energy about what we're doing and what we're building, and also enjoying life along the way, because that's a big part of it too, of like, it is nice to get outside and feel that. And you make memories. You make memories with your people when you're doing it with family or whoever you have. And so here's to loving our people and getting outside and letting that actually be a powerful part of our trading business, not just something that we also have to get done, but instead a powerful part of our trading business. So I wish that for all of us, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful season, and take care, you guys. Bye.